Hey, everybody. Wins and Lessons Friday. We've got Just in Time. We've got Sir Talk a Lot. And we got Internet Guy here for you today that we're going to talk about wins and lessons. Really, what this week, what'd you learn? It was a pretty packed week on the show. I think there's some huge lessons for everyone. So, ready to get into it, boys?
Let's go. Let's do this. Do it.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
Well, all right. So,
It's your birthday?
Today is my birthday, yes.
Wait, what?
Hey, all right.
Happy birthday. What the hell?
I was actually hoping to get through the show without somebody bringing it up, but yes, because then, now I'm going to talk more and,
All right, Sir Talk.
Yeah, it's like, oh, God, your wife's going to bring out a cake and, it's just going to be a birthday special.
I wish, brother, if I could eat a cake right now, I'd be like, bring it out. Bring it on. I'm in. Trust me. When you don't eat for as long as I haven't eaten it, it would be like, yeah.
Bring it in.
Yeah,
yeah, bring it in.
Yeah. Right now with all the sparklers. No, dude, I wish I could eat a cake. So we watched a movie, and it was with Danny Glover was the dad, and he's sitting at the table.
I saw that movie like 2 days ago, the Christmas movie. Love that movie. Sorry to interrupt, but I saw that 2 days ago.
Every time Danny Glover, there's a picture, there's two cakes behind him. And I know this sounds crazy. I'm not even paying attention to the movie. I'm like, look at those cakes. They look so good. Because I'm like a sugar freak, right? Like, well, Ryan, you and I, we both like those nice sweet treats, right? Like, it's just who I am. And yeah, I'm a cake. If I can make a 7-layer cake with like 2-inch thick chocolate icing in between, I'm all over that all day long, man. All day long. No wonder I got diabetes.
I was just gonna say, I was like, the elephant in the room. I was like, let's let him go with it. Let him go with his diet.
Yeah. Christine calls me diabetic Dan. She goes, "You're such a bad diabetic Dan," and I'm like, "I know, honey, I know."
And then Sir Talk a Lot started drooling.
Yeah,
Yeah. So let's start with it, boys. Let's start with it. What kind of lessons did we get this week?
Yeah, I think the one big thing, it started on the weekend. I think that for me that I realized that artificial intelligence is here. And when I say that, if anybody was on Instagram this weekend, there was a big movement called Lensa.ai. Basically what it does is that it's an app. It takes takes a bunch of selfies that you've already done, and then it just makes you into like different futuristic, like they use AI to create all these pictures and everything about you, and then you're looking at it and like it's weird to see. And then on top of that, I was sending in the group chat with chat JPT, where basically you can type in a question, type in an essay. Even I was playing around with it. It's a search engine where you can type in anything that you want to know. And I typed in, hey, what's an email for a logistics provider? Less than 2 seconds, there was an email for me, which was about 200 words. And it was like specific to like our logistics industry. So for me, my big lesson is like AI is here. You look at things like Line AI and everything that's coming to the future. So boys, I think it's kind of cool, but I think about when we're going to be using AI to like call into like call centers. Like when we got robbed, it kind of goes through call center. Like I'm intrigued to kind of say that, because when you look at everything, right? Teslas, they're using the AI capabilities for the self-driving vehicles. And even now we're all kind of doing the self checkout at the Walmarts and the groceries. That's AI there as well. So I'm just that's my biggest lesson, man. I'm really, really looking forward to kind of seeing what the future has, because we're thinking like the Will Smith movie, I, Robot. It's coming, man. It's coming. So it's kind of like apt or what's gonna happen to you. So that's it for me, boys.
Yeah. I mean, when
Jasper's another good one.
Yeah. When you look about way back, the Jetsons.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Right. The Jetsons. I mean, look how far advanced that whole thing was, and here we are. Look what we're doing, in nowadays, and it's coming quicker than we think, But I still say we're still out, at least a decade or so. I mean, there's just so many things you read about problems, and then they stopped producing EVs now because they ran into an issue. I forgot what company it was, but they pulled out. I mean, just a lot of different things, the fundamental things that I guess people aren't looking at. What happens if, a cyber attack or somebody gets in it? What's going to happen? How are we going to stop that? And there's a lot of people out there that's against it because they really want to talk to a human. They want that personal touch that you're not going to get, from some type of algorithm that's, you see it when you make phone calls and you talk to people. If you want this, talk one. If you want that, talk two, and then it's all automated.
I'm hitting 0.0000000 until it says,
what's going to be a price?
We're going to pass you to somebody right now. Like,
yeah,
right.
It's going to be a price thing, right? Because like I've worked in a call center before, and like there's never been a call center that's never been at overcapacity, right? And even when COVID, like you could never work from home when you worked at a call center, and COVID changed everything that people were working from home now. So I think it's gonna be a cost thing. Like when you look at a company, you own like a branch or something like that, and you're like, hey, I can get all these AI agents for X amount of dollars over humans, right? And it's kind of crazy to think about, but it's you're right.
They were talking about at our local bank. Like we live in a small town. And 5 years ago, they started talking about automated tellers, like at our branch in our small town, where they would have one or two humans in the branch just in case somebody couldn't get through the automated teller. And instead of an actual teller, there's a bank machine that speaks to you and you speak to it, and it formulates through artificial intelligence what you're saying. And I was like, wow, really? Like even like at a bank, like I don't know about you guys, but when I go to a bank and I do my banking, I want to talk to a human. Like I don't know, there's just something personal about
most people do
banking,
that kind of
right?
like old school.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing to think about it. There's one thing that they will not be able to do: to provide an AI with empathy, feelings. Okay, I mean, it puts a whole new perspective to the word cold calling. Because it's completely cold. There's nothing warm about it because it's so automated. And I don't think really, I know we're going that way, but I don't really think that people really want that coldness, because it's pure cold. You can't argue. You can't present the issues. There's no way. There's no
You can't argue. You must be from Jersey.
You can't argue. Hang up and call somebody in, and you'll get another AI. I like that though. I kind of like that when you're kind of talking about that, because it's like if I'm looking at it as a business, let's say the Rogers or the Bell or something like that, a call center or something like that, and it's like, well, it's a black and white issue. Somebody's called. Like we used to get people to literally call and waste our time for 5 cents. Like there was people call, hey, my bill's up 5 cents this month, and it's like, okay, we got to credit you 5 cents, and the time that it took an hour or two to get there, right? So it's like I like kind of getting to that black and white, like pay that 5 cents, like that's. But I also think me. I like the coldness.
You look at Uber Freight, you look at all of these online systems. Some people prefer that. Some people don't want to pick up the phone. Some people would rather pull up 3 websites, type in the same information, get the best deal, and choose that website and never speak to a human ever. And some people are like, no, I want to actually book it with you. Like I had customers that no matter how easy we made it to send an email, they would always call.
Yes.
And they'd say, take this information down. This is what it is. This is where it's going to. Are we good? Yes. They would never you'd send an email, they'd call to reply. And it was like, okay, so that's the way they want to work. That's the way this person wants to work. And there's a piece in the industry for everyone. Like that I think we can all fully agree on. Like Dean says, leave something on the table for somebody else, because there's always that piece for somebody else. So I think, I think it's going to come to a point where things are going to be connected online, and then a truck's going to show up. It's like Tesla when Elon's talking about ride sharing. He's like, imagine if you pull up to work, you go into work, and your Tesla leaves and goes and drives people around and makes you money all day, and then comes back and parks just before you need to get in it to go back home. Like, I do believe that stuff's coming, and I believe it's coming with trucks as well. Like, I mean, I don't know how many decades down the road, but I think it's coming. Jeff, you bring up the Jetsons. If you look at the Jetsons, video chat, cell phones, iPads, like all of it, Harrier jets,
All of it.
All of it was Jetsons. Friggin', and then you go back into
insane.
like Star Trek, right?
Yeah,
like Star Trek was like the Motorola flip phones, like you see in the Matrix and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, and when we looked at the Jetsons, I remember watching it as a kid, going, "That would be so cool."
Yeah.
And now you don't think twice about getting on this medium right here. Thousands of people see us, and like you don't think twice about it. It's crazy. It's wild.
I love for you guys to answer this if you can. Okay. CSA, right? Talk about safety and everything like this. How in the hell are they going to think about all the moving parts on a trailer and a truck, right? So if everything is automated, how is the automation going to be able to tell that there's something wrong with the truck besides tires and all this other stuff? I mean, just think about all the indicators that have to be on that vehicle besides view of sight, rear and front and side. I mean, think about that. I mean, how are they going to, Dan, you've been in trucks, you've loaded trucks. I'm sure you've done a lot of stuff just like myself. Just think about that concept and everything that can go wrong. How in the hell are they going to be able to monitor that? I mean, seriously.
So from what, and I mean, this is just from everything I've read, I'm no expert. Like a Tesla processes, I think they said 100 gigabytes of data every like 5 seconds. And there's like, that's the amount of data that is absolutely insane. Monitoring everything. I think the more technological vehicles get, the safer they are. And when I say that, I say like my Ford truck. It's got this backup thing where if it sees something, it stops.
Yeah.
I can have my foot on the gas and it stops. The same thing with Ford.
My Toyota,
yeah. It's got headlights that they go on high beams and then they see other vehicles and it turns off. So it's making all those features simple. So it's eliminating accidents. It's like my wife had an Infinity where you could be going 80 kilometers an hour or 80 miles an hour. And if you got too close to the car in front of you, the car would stop.
Yep.
And like, no matter what, and it was like, I was like, wow, like the salesman was literally like, look at, and he slammed on the gas and we're coming up on the rear of this car. And I'm thinking, this person on the street, like we're going for a test drive here. This person on the street must be like, what is this person doing behind me? And the car just goes, whoa, and comes to a stop and he goes, and look, he's got his foot to the floor. Yeah. So those types of things I think are incredible. You get into some of the situations, like, I don't know if you guys remember New York City 5 years ago, when the trailer pulled out and the Tesla was going this way and the trailer was going this way. And the trailer was kind of the same color as the sky. And it sent the Tesla right underneath the trailer and killed the guy. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I think in order for true AI like that to be in effect, the majority of the vehicles or the majority of what's happening needs to be under the same kind of AI process, because then they talk to each other, right? It's like if you read, I don't know if you guys read the Wall Street Journal report on the weekend about Amazon's new warehouses. Like Amazon is investing a ton of, literally the entire warehouse is going to be automated from pick and pack to trailer loading to everything. Like there's going to be 4 to 5 humans in a 250,000 square foot warehouse. Like that is insane. And they're like, no, this is the way we have to go. And part of that, I believe, and based on what they were saying, is like employees, to get people in the building, to keep them in the building, to keep a shift with the right amount of people to serve clients is becoming so extremely difficult these days.
Well, I was just going to say that,
calling in sick for a sniffle.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that because we have an Amazon warehouse right by our house, and if you go on Indeed, they always have like an ongoing post, like it's just, and they pay really well. Like they're starting off at like $30-$35 an hour, to do that. But to come back to Jeff's point, when it comes to trucks, I feel like it's not an answer that we can give, because the people who are working on that stuff are they're the guys who have been studying this, like this is what they've become experts in, and I think
it should get someone on the show for it.
Yeah, just to kind of like a scientist, like it's really like a scientist because it's all math at the end of the day, right? And you look at the features, right? I don't know if you guys noticed this, but BMW, they've started charging for services that already come with the car. So in new models for BMW, if you want heated seats, you got to pay for that as a monthly subscription, or they'll take that away from you, right? So you think about that, right? Like if you have a Tesla, yeah, look it up, BMW, and it's gonna come down the thing. So you're not just buying a car anymore. It's like you're buying a shell. And then you're whatever. Well, look at this too, right? I don't know if you guys remember this, and I don't want to keep talking about Tesla, but Tesla has that dog mode in the terms of like you can leave your dogs in the car and like it'll leave the air conditioning on, and it literally says on the screen dog mode, right? But if you didn't have that feature on your car, you can literally go on Tesla's website and buy that what do you want to call it, like an edition, and then add that on. So I think we're going to that point, and just to answer Jeff's thing of how are they going to measure everything. Everything's going to have weather, a camera. Look at our cars these days, right? If I just nib something, I probably got to like change a whole bumper for like $5,000 because of all the sensors and everything in the car, right? If I have like my 92 Civic, I get hit and I'm still going. So
if you have your 92 Civic, you hit something, the bumper doesn't even bend.
It doesn't.
Like, everything's pristine. It's
like a 57
and that's what I'm saying.
Air.
Everything's going to have to be on that because you think about it. You're driving an autonomous semi, right? The price of that. If something happens, so if you're driving an autonomous semi and somebody decides to hit you from the side, or this side, that's a bad framing. Somebody runs a stop sign from the side and hits that autonomous semi. It's not that person's fault, like the person in the semi. It's the person that ran the red light. But the repair bill for that autonomous semi is going to be astronomical.
Oh yeah, but think about this too. Think about this too, right?
Oh my God, that's crazy, Ryan.
I'm always thinking, right? How about liftgate operation, inside delivery? Does that mean that all of these accessorials go by the wayside? I mean, think about that. And then what is it going to be the cost for these? I mean, and the cost for these people, that they'll say, oh, we're going fully autonomous. Now we've got to change our whole warehouse. We have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to meet the requirements, all this stuff. I mean, it's like,
well, I think
I don't know. I mean, who's going to operate the liftgate? I mean, what are they?
Well, that's where it goes back to iRobot, like Ryan was saying. It's going to be iRobot. They got that out of the car.
We're far away.
Hello, man.
Hey, well, we're not as far as you think, right? Because you look at it, like Dan. I don't know how it is in the States, Jeff, but in Canada, Justin Trudeau, I think we have to go fully electric by 2025. I think. All cars on the road has to be electric. So you go electric. That's the next step. Autonomous vehicles, like that is like once they get rid of all like the gas and everything like that, maybe they'll extend it 5 years or things like that. But I really think within that, and I'd love to hear everybody in the audience, like what do they kind of think of basically the AI and everything coming up? I think the next 5 to 10 years. Yeah.
No, you said that by 2025. That's
So what originally they said is by 2025, every vehicle manufacturer has to have an electric line. So an electric lineup, from what I understood. I think Toyota said they're going to be fully electric, no combustion engines by 2035. There was something by 2050. Ontario was going to be at neutral carbon, meaning zero carbon in Ontario or something. I mean, I think every automaker sees and listen, coming from somebody that's driven electric, it is a much better ride than gas. Yeah. I would go like the only reason I have a gas truck right now is because my Lightning, the electric truck, I couldn't get one because of all the shortages and everything, and my lease was up, and like I'd released it twice. So I was like, okay, well, I need a truck for construction and for my sledding and stuff. Otherwise, I'd still have my electric car because I prefer electric. Like for me, it was okay. So the first thing I realized with electric, was this. You ever notice you need gas when it's always the worst weather and when you have no time?
You'll do it in the morning. No, the biggest lie you ever tell yourself is I'll get gas in the morning, So
yes. Yeah. So every morning I woke up, I had a full tank of gas because I got a charger in my garage. Right. So you plug in, you go to sleep, you wake up, you're full. You're full. And for me, that was like oh my God, this is awesome. I never have to stop at a gas station because it was, and I never went to the point where like I would be stranded or there's range anxiety, they call it, right? With people that have electric vehicles. But the electric drive is a million times better than combustion engine, a million times, especially on takeoff. And if anyone's got a Tesla, they know that, because there's no spooling of the engine, right? It's like instantaneous. As soon as you touch the gas, you're gone. And you don't realize how loud your engines are until you drive electric.
Yeah, exactly. We got a hybrid, and it's the same exact way. Like sometimes I got to remind myself that the car's on, right? But Jeff, like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, in terms of, because I know you're an old school guy. You got the Caddy, you've got the.
I mean, I'm always thinking. I mean, you think about a giant snowstorm and going down the 401 in Canada, right? And now you're stranded out there, right? You got an electric vehicle. You're not going to have any heat. You're not going to charge it. What the hell are you going to do? What are you going to do in that situation? I mean, look what happened in Virginia this past year, right? And they were stranded out there for 12, 14 hours. They couldn't move.
Oh, on the highway.
Yeah. What are you going to do with an electric vehicle? I mean, these people really have to start thinking about the what ifs. I've said it all the time. Plan for something that doesn't exist. So when it does happen, you're ready for it. You're ready to combat that problem. And the thing is they don't have that. They don't. What are you going to do? Drop a battery from a helicopter and say, plug it in? I mean,
like the Coyote.
No. But then, okay, but here's the flip side of that. What if you didn't get gas in the morning and you're stuck on that highway?
You're stuck.
You're in the same boat.
Pushing.
You're in the same boat. Right?
I'll say this too, guys. Like, I went to the States last year. I went to Wisconsin, and Dan, you could attest to this. If you drive in Toronto, every other car is an electric vehicle. Like, we have Teslas everywhere. Like, I can go outside. Every neighbor of mine has a Tesla. Like, it's true. But like when I was in Wisconsin, like I wouldn't see any Teslas out there. So you got to remember too, like electric vehicles, Teslas have been out for, and just not Teslas alone, because the RAV4 electric, the same thing with you that happened, Dan, that you're waiting on the chip shortage. We had to do our lease and we couldn't get it. They stopped making it. They said, you know what, everyone's ordering it, we're stopped making it. So they're only doing the hybrids and kind of go from there. So you kind of go from like gas, hybrid to electric, but electric's been in Toronto for at least 5 years now. Like people do, you can go rent a Tesla for like $20 right now, so it is out here.
Yeah. And I got a friend of mine, he makes mint. He created a battery pack for condos because condos don't really have the room for the big chargers. And so what he did is he created a battery pack. This thing plugs into a wall outlet, but puts out 240 volts. So he's put them in almost every condo in Ontario. In Toronto specifically, the guy's made millions. And it's like now you can charge your car in 3 hours instead of 14 hours, right? Because there's the level of electricity, like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. And I remember when I first got my electric car, stage 1, in order to get 50 kilometers of electric, I'd have to plug it in for 8 hours. Like totally useless. Then when I got my stage 2, it was 35 minutes for 50 kilometers, right? So stage 3 is the ones they have at all the gas stations. And like those are the Tesla superchargers where you can put 500-600K in 30 minutes. Yeah. Right now, don't get me wrong. You can do 500-600K in 7 minutes at a gas pump, right? Like, right? Like, so there's that. But the way they were selling it was go into Tim's, grab a coffee. By the time you're done your coffee, your car's charged. So there still is that perspective or that way. Teslas have gone from California to Canada. There's been many people documenting it on YouTube, right? And it's a longer process to get full. But if you're just doing a day-to-day commute and you're not going 600 kilometers a day or 400 miles a day, then you're like golden if you have a plug-in at home. That's why I wanted my wife's honking birthday horns. You guys hear that?
Gotta get it's the World Cup, just getting ready for the World Cup. But I know we kind of talked about this quite a bit, but Jeff, I want to kind of get to your wins and lessons for the week, brother, because I know like we're just talking AI and stuff there, but I want to hear about you because one thing I'm grateful for you, Jeff, we had an amazing conversation yesterday and I'm so grateful for that. That was my big win yesterday because it what you told me, it worked out. So thank you so much.
Oh, good. I'm glad that worked out for you. The wins. I don't know. They're just so many. And, I had another RFP this week, just like you, Ryan. Things started moving forward. I had to do adjustments on a lot of the lanes because the market's coming down. The client accepted what I offered, so it was another good win. I've been in there for now a year. Working with the customers and having that collaboration and telling them what they don't want to hear and what they want to hear is so vital to any kind of relationship that you're in. I can't press that anymore. So that was a huge win for me. The lessons, I mean, it was many. The one that really got me was that yield signs are not yellow. I don't take things for granted, right? I mean, that was big. Love Brian. I love what he had to say and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff, really resonated with me. That sometimes, and I'm sure with all the audience out there that is watching as well, is that you take things for granted, and sometimes you don't look at the things that need to be seen because you think that they're not there, but they're actually there. And if you just took the time out to visualize that, see it, and then see beyond that, how far you can really go. And some people just stay stagnant because they just get so in tune with what they think they see, and they're not really seeing the big picture. So that was a huge lesson. Been on this earth for a while now, and you think you know everything, but you really don't. You don't until you hear it. And so that resonated with me. I know with you guys too. It was just
100%.
It's kind of empowering. It really is. It's like empowering, especially for a guy like me who's not a sales guy. I say it all the time, but it reinforces that there are things you can do it as long as you just focus on the right things and instead of having that tunnel vision, as they say, see the big picture and see what it's worth, the value of that. And so that was a big lesson. That's mine for the week.
And the big trick is going to be, how do you remind yourself of that? Because
every day.
It's a lesson, and then you're going to fall back into the routine of taking it for granted and seeing yellow yield signs everywhere. And that for me was the bigger part of the yield is, okay, how am I going to bring this to the forefront of my mind every day, to live it, to like just experience it every day? Because it's like everything, right? We hear something, it's like, man, that's great, and it changes your perspective for a day or two, and then you fall back into your regular same old, right? I've always asked the question, okay, what are you doing to change that for the future, and what are you doing now? Like, what action did you take to put into place? Because as we said before we got on, mine was, don't look at the rock. Right. Like it's true. Like you tend to you see that, and then you tend to go straight for it. Don't look at the rock. When Brian said that, it was like, damn, I'm looking at the rock. And especially with what I'm going through, I realized instantly, like, I'm looking at all the rocks. I'm not looking at you know what I mean? And it was like, and then I think we were on a call, Ryan, and Daman said the same thing. He goes, don't look at the rock. And I'm like, damn, I've heard rocks a lot today. There's a lot of rocks on the sidewalk.
I love Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I love The Rock. He's the greatest actor of all time. And one thing that we talked about, and we all have great takeaways about that too, right? And I think I want to ask you guys a question, because I felt this week, is that there's such a motto for me that I've really lived this week, which is like, the harder I work, the luckier I get. In terms of like I've really put a focus this week on like video messaging and doing prospecting, and it's just kind of rewarded me quite a bit. What are your guys kind of thoughts on that? Like I don't want to get into like the universal and stuff, but like I know, Jeff, like you're a guy who's always in the trenches. You are ingrained in your whole operation, and when you're in that and you're telling me your stories about Panasonic and Schneider and stuff like that, it's like, the harder that you work, how lucky do you actually get with like abundance of, let's say it's loads or customers or carriers coming to you guys?
I firmly believe that it's timing too, being in the right place at the right time and being noticed, and not really trying to change. Like I said before, you can't fake it to make it. So if you continue to do the right things day in and day out, that you're going to get noticed. Somebody's going to say something, and that's going to be the turning point. And to your point, Dan, about that yellow sign, that it's actually red, and seeing the rock and making sure that you have daily affirmations about that. I mean, think about it. Every day you wake up, you put clothes on, right? So if you had that thought process, the same as putting clothes on, you repeat that same thing day in and day out. It's going to be, you're going to know it like the back of your hand. It's going to happen. And that's the kind of, routine that you have to put yourself into. So I mean, yeah,
you got to turn that thinking into a habit.
Is it luck?
Like an aha?
Yeah, like an aha moment. Yeah, I mean, is it luck? No, I think it has to do with a lot of things. It's not primarily what you know; it's who you know, and of course, what you know kind of helps. But it kind of opens up doors. You know, everybody has their own way of doing their own business, and if you do it well, other doors open up. You know, you don't have to work that hard, like you said, Ryan. You know, it's KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. You know,
superstar. Keep it simple, superstar.
So I like that too. You know, but I mean, seriously, it's all about that. It's trying to figure out so you don't have to work harder but smarter, and things will come. You know, don't overthink everything. You know, that's the problem with a lot of people. They always overthink issues when it's really not an issue, because if you think
not only
that
issues,
you're going to create it, you're going to create
they
it.
overthink their sales process. They overthink their operational process.
Exactly.
I think we're bred to overthink in some cases, right? Like we're bred to analyze, and especially analytical people.
Oh, definitely.
Are always overthinking. You know, it's but it's the way they're programmed, right? So it's like everybody else, right? You talk to like BMX superstars, and you're like, and they're like, no, I see the landing, I don't see the jump. I see where I'm going, and it's like, and if you're not a BMX pro, you're coming up to you're like, damn, that's friggin' high. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like we all see different things until we realize that it's where we want to go, and then all of a sudden that height is irrelevant, right? It's
well, and for the BMX though, to get back to that, Dan, how many times did those guys crash before they succeeded? The same thing in business, right? It's okay to fail, guys. All right. That comes with the territory. You're not going to be successful all the time. It's how you take in that failure and how you turn that around and learn from it. I mean, that's the key right there. You know, you can go to the highest mountain and fall off it many, many times. And then it's not how quick you get up there. It's the consistency of each step, getting yourself to that top level. And it doesn't come like that. Have the patience, but keep up the same pace. You know, keep that nice.
Keep working. Yeah, keep moving. Yeah, I like how you said that.
Well, keep moving. I mean, I don't necessarily believe in luck when it comes to that, because, and I will go towards the universe a little bit, Ryan, because it's, you know, if you come out every day, and Ryan, you taught me this, and you work your hardest, you're going to get rewarded.
Yep,
it's just what it is. You know, it goes back to, you go to somebody, you say, okay, what do you want? Like 2023, what are your goals? Oh man, I want to do 1 million GP. Awesome. And they don't make sales calls.
Yeah.
They don't like, what are you doing?
They're at $5 grand
achieve
GP.
The goals. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing to achieve the goals and desires you want?
Yeah.
And if you're not putting in the action, then everyone else is lucky. Ryan's lucky he's getting people replying to him. No, Ryan's pumping out 30 videos a day. That used to be tough for Ryan to get in front of a camera and do videos, but he kept doing it. Now he feels comfortable doing it. Now he's experimenting with different things, and something's going to click. He sends 30 videos out. He gets 5 replies. Do you call that 25 fails? No.
No, it's 5 replies.
No, but it's Ryan knows his goals. Jeff, you know your goals. I know my goals. And it's, what are we doing consistently every day to get there? That comes in the form of luck.
Yeah.
But it's called filling your funnel. And eventually shit starts popping out the bottom. Right? Like to me, luck was the last 2.5 years of freight was luck. Because, and I say that because I can't do a half, but 2.5 years of freight, because it was so easy to get business. Yeah. Now we're going to find out who are the skilled salespeople. And the ones that
That's
aren't
gonna come in
consistently
that's gonna
working
come in
are
the
the
first
ones that are going
quarter.
to start.
Yeah, that's going to come in the first quarter of next year. You know it, Dan.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
when we
100%.
separate the boys, the men from the boys, right then and there, because it's going to be tough.
Oh, Jeff, you're about to get yourself in a lot of trouble, buddy.
Gonna get canceled. No, but you're so right. Like, you know, it's
You left all the women in logistics out of it. Just
No. They know I love them. Come on now. I
End
mean,
the show.
you know,
End the show. Cut
I'm
the
an
game.
advocate for women. I'm a
Cut his
big
internet.
advocate
Cut his
for women in
internet. Cut his
logistics.
internet.
You know that. Come on, man. You know, it's just a saying, and sorry for all the women out there. You know, I
No,
didn't
we're just
mean-
joking around,
I
man.
feel
Like,
like-
No.
But-
seriously. I mean, it's going to be a tough ride the first
It
quarter.
is going to be a tough. Well, you know what? It's a tough ride now. You know, I don't care what anybody says. Like, you know, like I've talked to my operations manager, and he was kind of explaining what he's seen on his end too. And he's like, you know what? It's a dog eat dog. It's a numbers game right now. You got to have those conversations, because at the end of the day, like. And that's one thing before we went into Brian Biro's thing yesterday that I was thinking about too, because you think of December, we're on the 9th today. A lot of sales reps are going to be calling it quits by maybe the 19th or the 20th. That's it. They're going to take off until the first week of January. I'm making an effort that, hey, I'm going all day. Like, I'm going for the rest of the month, rest of the thing. It's like, you know, you just have to commit to it. Like Dan always kind of says, like you take action, believe in your processes and your systems over what's in your mindset. You know, like I literally look at my daily habits right now. I know that once we get off at this at 10, I got to do 10 personalized videos. If I don't do that, then I don't get to my 10 personalized emails at 11 o'clock. Right. So like I'm system focused, you know, and I think it's important. And then coming back to Tuesday, when we're talking about personal development too, right? We got our 12 days of Christmas, and you know, you're gonna have everybody hitting at different angles, which I love, right? You got the video, you got the mental health stuff, you got Brian come back again, you got Greg to actually come and hit you with some data for an hour, you got Dean, you know, so it's like if there's a day to like take off and maybe prepare yourself, it's gonna be Tuesday, you know, take that day off, book it off.
You know something. One of my old bosses said this to me a long time ago. He says, "Eat or be eaten." I think that is a great saying right there, that every day, man, you got to eat. If you don't, you're going to be eaten up by somebody else. It's going to slide right into that spot and take it if you're not aggressive enough. So,
I love that you said that, because like we got an RFP yesterday and we got primary on a couple lanes, but I looked more at the backup lanes because I'm like,
oh, this is a good segue, Dan.
Yeah. Did you notice I just all of a sudden I started switching to my email over here? You see that?
Yeah, that's good. I kind of threw that up
there
for
you go.
you.
The magic word.
Yeah. Did you? You saw it as soon as he said it, Jeff. You see me move? I'm like, oh shit! Email. All right. So, So we've got reefer from Elizabeth, New Jersey to Winchester, Virginia, $3.92 per mile, $4.60 with fuel. That's a huge jump with fuel.
That is.
Contract rate, including fuel surcharges, $4.57. So literally we're 3 cents per mile difference between spot and contract. I think that's probably one of the smallest margins we've had on the show yet. Year over year is down 61 cents. So we're already 460 and it's down 61 cents. I mean, it was 520 a year ago. That's crazy. It's a recent upward movement on this lane after a steady August, September. The current rate is 61 cents higher than last year's November average. So just so everybody's aware, week in review for dry van, reefer, and flatbed. Dry van, $1.77. Week over week changes was only a cent. Year over year changes down 78 cents with an all-in rate of $2.39 a mile. Reefer, $2.05. Week over week change, 2 cents. Year over year change, 92 cents down. $2.73 a mile was the average. Flatbed, $2, down 4 cents week over week, down 55 cents year over year for $2.74. Now, if you guys look, you're a cent difference between flatbed and reefer. That is very unusual to have that small of a difference between the two modes. So that is the lane of the day and week in review.
Crazy to think about, like Elizabeth, New Jersey.
I just got very like newscaster there, didn't I?
I feel like you got to show it on the screen so people could get that visual. You know, you got to
like an MC of some game show.
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, Wink
Family Feud.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna actually start cutting it so we can put it up on the screen.
Yeah, just so everybody can kind of see
that'd be a good idea.
kind of see it from there. It would be pretty cool.
I'm
But
glad I thought of that. That's a great idea.
I thought of that. What the fuck? Sir
Right,
takes
what
ideas
what
a
just
lot.
happened there?
Yeah, Sir takes ideas a lot. We gotta switch that up.
A new rap guy.
Yeah.
Or talk a lot.
So, guys, remember, I know I said it yesterday. Centurion Trucking, American Logistics. Thank you so much for the sponsorship, Daman. Daman is on a hunt for U.S. and Canadian agents, paying upwards of 60% GP. So if you're looking for a new home, if you're thinking maybe 2023 is a year where you want to talk to somebody that deals with people before profit, get a hold of our man Daman at the end of the show. Make sure you check out his email. In the show notes is his email. And Ryan, I'll let you take it out, brother.
Yeah, want to thank everybody for coming out this morning. We had an amazing week. Tuesday, the episode that Jeff and I had, I friggin' loved it. I keep on going back to it. It was amazing with Brian and Dean back on Tuesday. So, thankful for you guys. Like I got over COVID, so I'm so happy that I'm able to come back on the show.
That's good.
Be with you guys again. Hit the replay, 12 p.m., 3 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Like I said, join us on Tuesday, man. Tuesday is going to be a banger. We got our 12 Days of Christmas full day podcast from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We've got tons of people coming in from different places from the industry. So they're going to give us tons of value. So everybody have an amazing weekend. We'll see you guys on Monday for Monday Mayhem. And you know what? See, there we go.
Yeah.
There you go. That's right, Scott. There you go, brother.
So with that being said, as Dan mentioned with Centurion Trucking, check out the outro. Definitely reach out to Daman. Use the promo code Sales Chatter. He might give you maybe like a free T-shirt or a free cup or something like that. From there, sorry Daman to do that to you, but let's get some.
If you're lucky, you'll get a Versace watch.
No, it's Rolex. It's Rolex.
Centurion Trucking. Our motto is people before profit. Today's market requires more transparency, consistency, and focus on what our clients need to win. Centurion Trucking and American Logistics are poised to help their clients achieve and surpass their targets. If you're looking for a team that honors your needs, dreams, and aspirations, then get a hold of Daman at American Logistics or Centurion Trucking and start designing